And I tell you, one of the delightful guests, I talked to her a few years ago, and she was one of the biggest westerns of all time in the Tombstone, and is Dana Delany. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Well, tell me, what is the 22nd Annual Golden Boot Awards? What's the Golden Boot Awards mean to you?
Well, I just love coming to this award. It's so, because I'm a huge Western fan.
Are you really?
I am, since I was a kid. So to be able to see the living legends in person is really
Well, who's
exciting.
some of your favorite cowboys, you know?
Oh, well, I go back to like John Ford, the earlier, John Wayne ones.
Your taste is
Even Dean Martin. I love Dean Martin in the Westerns.
Dean Martin was a fine actor,
yeah,
wasn't he?
he was great. Yep.
Loved him in Rio Bravo.
And I just got to meet Kim Darby, who I'm very excited about.
We just had her on just before you, and delightful girl. And a lot of people say, well, John Wayne, they gave him an Oscar in True Grit because, well, he deserved one, years earlier. But no, that's not true. John Wayne did one heck of a performance in True Grit.
He was fantastic in that movie. Yeah.
And Kim Darby did great too.
Yeah, I watched her and wanted to be an actress because I watched her in that performance.
No, that's a high praise.
Yeah.
Well, that's sister coming from you, because I love your role in Tombstone. One of the, it's one of the new classics.
Yes, it is.
The most
yeah.
recent classic. And what was it like working on the set with Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, and a very special man today,
Val Kilmer, who we're giving an award tonight.
He did pretty good on Still in the Spotlight from that movie. He did his role as Doc Holliday.
He deserves all the attention he got for that movie. He just had that role down.
He sure did. Here's your Huckleberry, or I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah.
Well, you did so many things. What do you got coming up that the fans can look forward to seeing you in?
I have a new movie coming out called Spin that Jamie Redford directed, which we shot in Tucson. It was the last time I'd been there was when we shot Tombstone there, and it's like a period western.
Wow.
Yeah, called Spin.
So we're looking forward to that.
Yep.
And looking forward to seeing you a little later on at the Golden Boot Awards. And now you're going to be on stage tonight?
Yes, I'm going to be presenting Val's award.
There you go. Who better than Dana Delany to give an award to her co-star in the movie Tombstone? God, what a classic! I got it on DVD. What a great gem.
It's fun.
Okay,
thank
you for coming.
Nice to see you
Dana
again.
Delany, everybody.
I don't have time to be proper. I want to live. I'm a woman. I like men. If that means I'm not ladylike, then I guess I'm just not a lady.
Well, Jeff Sutherland, and I tell you what, our next guest, I tell you, he doesn't need any introduction because he's a fabulous actor. Enjoy his work, and very gifted actor, Val Kilmer.
Thanks.
Val, tell us, can you get a little closer over here, sir? Let's give it up for Val, okay? All right. Val, congratulations on this very special Golden Boot honor tonight.
Thank you.
And what does the Golden Boot Award
Do
mean?
I need this if you're going to...
Well, let's do it both. Now, Val, what's the Golden Boot Awards mean to you?
Well, I grew up on a ranch. My dad bought Roy Rogers' place out in Chatsworth in the San Fernando Valley. So I'm particularly moved by this because he taught me a love of the wilderness. And he passed on right before I started Tombstone. And I still live out in the wilderness in New Mexico. So it means a lot. It's kind of cool.
I want to say one more thing before we close up, because I know you're very, very busy and going to a nice dinner. The movie that you did in Tombstone was one of the best performances in a Western I've seen in years.
Oh, thanks.
And what was it like working on that?
Well, Kurt Russell also has an affinity for the West. He's got horses, and he lives out house he built in Aspen. I live in New Mexico, and we just hit it off, and that's what the story is about. These two guys are dedicated to each other beyond even what the normal law is, and I think that's what people appreciate about the story.
You were so believable, not only in your character, but the part that you were suffering with an illness, and you did it very well. I want to congratulate you on your Golden Boot.
Thank you.
Val Kilmer, everybody.
Right.
God bless you.
Bye.
I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your Huckleberry. Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave.
And receiving one of those special Golden Boot Awards is one of my favorite all-time actors. You can see in movies in Batman, Clint Eastwood, Hang 'em High, Andy Griffith episode. He was in so many movies and television shows. It's just two more to mention. This is Mr. Pat Hingle, everybody.
Woohoo!
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Pat, you were in so many films and television shows. Do you have any favorites?
Well, we don't make many westerns anymore, and I made most of mine back in the
60s, you know, and early 70s. And when Morgan Woodward called me and said, I want to give you a golden boot. I said, Morgan, why didn't you give me one 30 years ago? And he said, Pat, a lot of people think you're dead. And I said, well, try to spread the word around that I'm still alive. And so they did, and here I am.
One of the roles that you did you worked with Clint Eastwood in an early episode of Rawhide, and they turned that into a movie, The Quick and the Dead, where the gunfighters had the time to do the shootout.
Well, yeah, but you know, I having done that, and having made Hang 'em High and 2 other shows with Clint, I knew the real Clint. And when Sharon Stone came in trying to pretend like she's Clint Eastwood, I say, nah.
Didn't make it, did it? Didn't make it.
No, but it's like, gosh, kid, you're such a beauty. What do you want to be Clint Eastwood for?
Yeah, well, Sharon Stone is a fine actor.
Yeah, oh yeah, she's a beauty.
Yeah, but a lot of good westerns were filmed. The Unforgiven, the movie with Kevin Costner, The Open Range.
Yeah, right. But you know, it used to be they'd make 4 or 5 a year or so, and it's too bad because there were so many westerns on television.
They were real Americana, weren't they?
Well, I think so. I mean, in the 17th year of Gunsmoke, Milburn Stone, who was a buddy of mine, called me and said, Pat, I'm living in New York. He said, Pat, I got to go to Birmingham to have open heart surgery. Will you come in and be the doctor on Gunsmoke?
That's right, I forgot that.
And I said, Millie, my own mother wouldn't believe me as Doc Adams. He said, no, they're going to have a new doctor. And so they created Dr. Chapman, who was a surgeon from New Orleans, with a linen suit and a brocaded vest and everything. And I came in and I did 7 Gunsmokes. And I'm telling you, the first movie I ever made was called On the Waterfront. And it was a great movie. And but Kazan's group that made this thing had worked together so much that all went like clockwork. And the same thing with the Gunsmoke group. They read each other's mind. I mean, it was no zip, zip, zip along you went, you know. And it was just a delight to go to work every day.
They were really in sync with each other.
They surely were, and such nice people. I mean, James Arness is not a very talkative person, but Kenny Curtis, who was alive then, was, and I got along beautifully with Ken, and I enjoyed it very, very much.
Most of that cast is no longer with us. You know, we do have Arnaz and Buck Taylor, but I got to see them at the Gene Autry Heritage Museum a few years ago when he was writing his autobiography. And Arnaz is still a pretty tall man, ain't he?
Well, he is. Well, you know, I did a Western, a Gunsmoke 3 or something like in Tucson with him, and yeah, he's not as strong as he was. But now listen. Is Dub Taylor, Buck I know, now is Dub Taylor still alive?
No, he's left us.
Oh my, well, that's too bad, because there are so many.
Also, Buck Taylor's youngest son, Adam, is no longer with us, was killed in an accident.
You know, I don't think I ever, I met Buck when he was a kid.
Yeah.
When he was like, you know, 16 years old or so, and
well, you know what, Pat, you know, you've done so many things. Do you have, I think the fans would like to know, do you have any favorites, Pat? Is it too hard because you did so many roles on television and movies?
Well, I really, and this is a kind of see, I prefer to work on stage. And that's kind of how I started. I've done 25 shows on Broadway. And there's something about having the audience right there. You get your peanut as soon as you do your trick, you see.
I see what
and in movies, all you get is money. You just get money.
Yeah.
And since you need money, you got to make movies. But
well, I like your role in Hang 'em High, though.
Oh, yeah, that was very.
You played that very well.
Well, you know, it was. It was. It was a good.
Very believable because you know you had a job to do, and you know, and you were hurt by it, but you had to do the job.
Well, you know, Ted Post directed that. He'd done so many Gunsmokes that we turned that thing out in about 4 weeks, and man, technically we just kept going, and good actors, you know, and Clint, I think he was the first kind of he made his spaghetti westerns, and then he makes this one, and it's a dandy. I don't really know of a better western than that one, to tell you the truth.
That was a great one, and I think that was the very first one that Mr. Post did, and Clint Eastwood insisted him directing that film.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so.
Well, I don't want to take any more of your time because I know there's a lot of things you got to do, meet a lot of more fans, get your special golden boot. I want to congratulate Pat Hingle once again for receiving the Golden Boot Award, Golden Boot, here on the 22nd annual Golden Boot Awards. And congratulations, Pat.